So this weekend, the kids are headed to Roadkill Nights up in Pontiac, Michigan. And Vicki and I plan on heading to Street Car Takeover at Edgewater Sports Park down in Cincinnati. Billy plans on driving the Falcon up in Michigan, and I plan on racing the Malibu in Cincinnati. The kids left this morning for the state up north, about the time I left for the fuel station to go fill up some jugs with E85. Trails has got Mopar Nationals going on this weekend, and I've even thought about staying home and just cruising around the Malibu and irritating the Mopar guys. But I've got high hopes for making a 10-second pass this weekend in this Malibu down at Edgewater. So I clean the car all up and I make some shock adjustments because I know this thing is going to leave harder than it ever has now that I can leave on nitrous with this 9-inch Ford rear end that we bought from Mosier. I put a new fresh bottle in the car, and after I finished detailing it, it was time to load it in the trailer, tie it down, and get ready to head south. Now, Street Car Takeover has 2 different classes that I could possibly run this car in if things don't work out with my high hopes for making a 10-second pass. I only have one major concern, and that's the fact that the car doesn't have an anti-roll bar on the back, and I really don't want to hurt the body. With as heavy as the Malibu is and not having a roll bar or a roll cage, it's not too difficult to tear up the body panels if you make the car leave too hard. So if things don't work out, I can always drop down and run it in 12.0 class and probably run pretty close to that on motor alone. So as a precaution, I decide to go ahead and make my first pass right off the trailer on motor. That way I know what the car runs without any nitrous, just in case things don't work out. And luckily, the old Malibu goes 12.05 right off the trailer. So after a new personal best on motor, I crack open the nitrous bottle and turn the Malibu loose. Not bad, 11.28, first pass. But the car really didn't run very well like it should down track, and each pass thereafter, it gets worse and worse. The nitrous is breaking up just past 60 feet, and the farther down the track I go, the worse it gets. So after beating my head against the wall all day Friday, I got some sleep and got back up Saturday morning. All right, guys, so it's Saturday morning, and after 3 passes yesterday of not having much luck, I finally went ahead and broke down and did my least favorite job of any job of maintaining the Malibu. Spark plugs, and they were terrible. So the last time I was here, if you guys remember, I had this terrible stumble off the starting line, and I had to jet the carburetor up as a Hail Mary to get this thing to leave the starting line. And it turns out the problem was the power brake booster had a vacuum leak, and I was correcting that vacuum leak with an overly rich jet package. And I got through the day, I made it to the final, and that's when the rear end broke. But I ran it that way for a long time. Like, I just didn't have time to screw with it. I just drove it that way, and it did seem a little bit rich driving it around. Sounded good, but it sounded a little rich. Well, it turns out it was a lot rich, and I drove it for like a month and a half, and I noticed it was getting terrible fuel economy. I mean terrible. Probably 3 miles to the gallon, if that. It was terrible, but it ran good, you know. E85, you know, like I said the other day, you can have them really rich and not really miss any power. You miss the fuel economy though. So anyway, I drove it around that way for a month or so. Let's just say the spark plugs, they didn't look too good. So I pulled the plugs out of it. I started pulling them out last night. It was too dark, and this thing's a major pain in the butt to put spark plugs in. So I went ahead and finished it this morning. Luckily, I found someone here at the track that had a fresh set of NGK 9s. They're probably a little bit too cold of a plug on E85. I was using 9s when it was on pump gas, and like I said, it just one of those things where everything stopped once it started breaking the rear end. Every time I took it to the track, everything stopped. No more tuning, no more anything, and I just kind of forgot where I left off. It probably ought to have a number 8 plug in it, but it's got 9s in it. It's got a fresh set of 9s in it now. So we're going to try this again today. I'm going to make one nitrous hit. I put a fresh bottle in the car. It's got fresh plugs in it. I'm going to try one more time to make a nitrous pass. If it breaks up again, I'm probably just going to go ahead and change my entry from 11.0 index to 12.0 index, because I ran 12.05 on a motor pass yesterday right off the trailer. It went 12.05 and 111. So I feel like that's probably my best shot at doing anything this weekend if it won't run 11 flat. And basically I need to be setting about 1096 to really be competitive. That way I've got a little extra in case it spins or something should happen. So that's going to be tough, but I'm going to try one more time. We'll see how it goes. So I heard the announcer say over the PA, if you've been teched in, come on up and test and tune. So I did. The only problem was the test and tuning that was going on was for roll racing, and that's not my thing. But it was still good enough for me to tell whether the car was fixed or not.
That was different.
I feel filthy. I thought they were letting us make time trials. I go up there, it's roll racing.
It's roll racing. No water, it was no burnout, no nothing.
I feel like I've got...
You feel like you need a shower?
Yeah. But it's still breaking up, so it's not fixed.
So you better jump into 12.
I'm gonna have to jump into 12-0 class.
All right. Now you know.
I don't know what the heck's wrong with it. It's just...
Like you said, you need to be able to purge, probably.
Yeah, but I didn't have to do that before. I mean, I went to the finals twice in this car and never had any trouble.
So what would be the trouble?
I don't know. There's something wrong. Something bad wrong. I mean, it just breaks up all the way down the track.
But it's fine if you're not trying to spray it, right?
Yeah, it's fine on motor.
All right. Well, then let's plan on 12.
All right, guys. So... evidently there's still something wrong with this car. I was hoping that a new set of spark plugs would fix it. It did not. I went up, I thought they were letting us make time trials this morning. I heard over the loudspeaker, come on up. So I go up there and it was roll racing. I don't even know what to do there. I just guessed. I think I jumped the starting line a little bit. Evidently they got flags out there. You're supposed to wait till you get to the flags. And I hit it at the starting line, so whatever. But anyway, it's still breaking up real bad. It's not fixed. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch my entry from 11 flat to 12 flat because I can get real close to 12 O's on motor. And then if I need a little nitrous hit, I can grab it and it breaks up a little bit. But I mean, I can probably use it enough to finish line race in 12.0 index if I need it. I'm sure I can do that. In other news, Addie's here with us today. Her and her mom came down to help in the booth, and I'm going to take this opportunity to take Addie up to the starting line and explain to her the starting line and how everything works, and we're going to get started in teaching her how to race today. So if you go back a few videos, you'll remember the little 14-year-old girl I helped go pick up her first race car. Addie and her family bought this beautiful 1978 Malibu after watching videos of me race mine down at Cincinnati Street Nights at Edgewater. So I figured what better place than Edgewater to start teaching Addie about how to stage and race her car. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take you up here and I'm going to explain to you how the photo cells work on the starting line so you understand how to stage the car. And they've got roll racing going on here this morning, and there's not very many cars, so it's fairly quiet. There's not a lot of cars up there, so it might be a good opportunity for me to go up here and show you.
Okay.
Right. Now, when starting from scratch, the most important thing for anyone to learn is how to stage the car and how the timing system works. Okay, kid, here's the deal. See that little box? Yeah. Look down here. See how it's got those little holes, those tubes? You see them in there? Mm-hmm. All right. Do this. All right, look through your hand and see how I block that?
Yeah.
And now I'm not blocking it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's how those photo cells work. The photo cells in the starting line box are looking for an infrared signal from across the track. And once your front tire blocks the first photo cell, it lights the pre-stage bulb on the top of the tree. The pre-stage bulbs lets you know that you're very close to the starting line. Then you just roll forward a little bit more and you turn on the stage bulb. Luckily, the chief starter here at Edgewater Sports Park realized quickly what I was doing and was more than happy to come up and lend a hand teaching Addie the ins and outs of the starting line. Next, I took Addie down the track on the golf cart and explained to her there are other photo cells as you go down the track that record 60 foot, 330, and mile an hour. So this one starts your mile an hour clock for the 8th mile. And then that one ends your finish line, ET and mile an hour. So the time slip judges how fast you go from this one to that one, and that gives you your mile an hour for the 8th mile. All right, so the whole point of the car is literally just to break the beams at a specific time as you go down the track. Like I'm gonna be running 12 flat index today. So what that means is I want that starting line beam to break as close to perfect on my reaction time as possible, and then trip the finish line beam at exactly 12 seconds. That's the only thing I care about all day long. Wish me luck. After I got done talking to Addie about the timing system, I thought, you know what, there's one more thing I can try. I might be able to take some ignition timing out of this thing and maybe cure this problem with the nitrous kit. And I've got time to make one more time shot before test and tune is over. So I pull a little timing out of the car, take it up, and try one more time to get this car to make a full pass on nitrous. Unfortunately, the car will 60 foot really good, but after that, it continues to break up and continues to get worse every pass I make. Finally, I wave the surrender flag. I'm done trying to make this thing run. I'm putting it in 12.0 class, and from here on out, I'm just trying to enjoy the rest of my day. I was in the trailer stuffing my face full of funnel cake when Vicki come knocking on the door, that someone had brought one of these motorized coolers by the trailer, and Vicki decided that she had to have one. So me and June Pup went to go test it out and see if it was worth having one or not.
Yeah, we're gonna need a couple of these.
Do I get one?
Yeah, June Pup likes it. She's so chill.
Unfortunately, the event Saturday afternoon was plagued with one oil down and one crash after another. We waited and waited and waited for first round to be called. I think eventually they had to call an end to test and tune, make one final cleanup, one final spray of the track, and then they called everyone to their lanes for round one.
All right, so we finally made it to first round. It's like 9:30 at night Saturday. I could not get the nitrous system to work the way it should, so we've swapped the car from 11 flat index to 12 flat index, which I should be able to run really close to 12.0 on motor with no nitrous. Now last night, the very first pass I made was off the trailer, and the car went 12.08, and the density altitude, according to my draggy, was almost identical to what it is right now. The fuel in the car is at a lower level, so I'm a little bit lighter because I'm lower on fuel. That should put me a little bit closer to a 12 flat index, and I've got the nitrous system set up so I can grab it on a button if I need to. So if I get down there and I'm a little behind or something doesn't quite look right, I should be able to grab the nitrous and just use it sparingly, and that should be fine. But we're not going to try and spray it all the way down the track this time. So see how it goes.
All right.
So in round one, I get paired up with a beautiful late model Mustang. These cars are known to be heavy and fairly slow in the 60 foot, but in a quarter-mile race, these cars run really hard out the back. So I fully expected to jump out to an early lead, but how long I would hold that lead is the question. I had my finger on the nitrous in case I needed it, but as I got close to the finish line, it was evident that he wasn't going to be able to get there. Although he was charging hard, I hit the brakes at the last second and kept from going under the index.
Well, sir, what do you know?
I was on the brakes really hard down there.
Yeah?
I went 12.12 at 103. He went 12.13 at 118. So I figured that his car would mile an hour really good out the back, and
Yeah.
it did. And I was way out on him, and he was rolling up on me down there, but I had enough to hit the brakes and
Yeah.
try to back into him.
Yeah.
So I did, but I need to go through and see what this would have been wide open to see where I'm at. But
Yeah.
I'm thinking I'm really close to 12.06, 12.07.
Okay.
All right, so I'm looking at my first pass off the trailer last night, and the air density is almost exactly what it was last night. I was 764.7 just now to the 8th, and I was 763.6 last night to the 8th. So I'm 100th difference there. The mile an hour was down just a little bit tonight. In the 8th, we went 88.95 last night. I'm 88.60 today. I was 10.05 to the 1,000 foot tonight. I was 10.02.9 to the 1,000 last night. So at 10.02.9, that's 10.03. I was 10.05, so 200 slower than that is, drum roll, 12.07. That's exactly where I figured I was at.
All right.
So I'm sitting 12.07 right now. I'll just grab the nitrous a little bit down there at the finish line if I need to. But I'm sitting good. I can go straight out the back and I don't have no worries.
All right.
So if they're getting to me, they're going to get about 3 or 4 shots of nitrous, and if it takes more than that, they're going to get a whole bunch of nitrous in the brake pedal. All right, so we're up here for second round, and I've got a buddy of mine, Craig Metcalf from down around Springfield. I haven't seen him in a long time, and now here we are. I got to run in second round. Should be a good race. He's a good driver. Let's see what we can do.
So it's been a while since I've seen Craig, but he's a cagey racer. He's a very good driver. He's very smart. And if there's any way he can find to win this race, he's going to do it. And it includes guessing the light. Instant green is basically a 4/10 pro tree. You just don't see the 3 ambers light up. So if you can guess when the ambers were to light up if you could see them, it's a huge starting line advantage without going red. Now, guessing a light like that is dangerous. You can either come out a big winner or a big loser. And this time, Mr. Craig came out victorious. Guessing a light on an instant green tree is basically like a Hail Mary in the last 2 seconds of a football game.
All right.
But sometimes it works out.
So either Mr. Metcalf really had a good light or yours was really bad.
Both.
Both?
He left before the light turned green. He guessed it.
Yeah.
So he had a major starting line advantage.
Yeah.
And there was nothing I could do with it. So
Were you on the spray heavy?
Oh, I sprayed from second gear all the way down and then cut as hard as I could.
Yeah.
I went 12.07 at 96 miles an hour. And he went 12.18 at 99.
Yeah.
So he cut with me.
Yeah.
So he did a good job. I mean, he did what he needed to do to win, you know?
Yep. All right. It's been a long day. Let's load up.
I'm ready to go home.